There's nothing much better than getting a brand new shiny bike and just standing there and admiring how good it looks. But as soon as you ride that thing outside, even in dusty conditions, they can start to look pretty secondhand pretty quickly. Or if you're riding in British winters like me, then they look pretty old straight away. But I've got 5 tips for you to make your bike look brand new. Make sure if you haven't done already to subscribe to GMBN. Also head over to GMBN Tech because there's loads more in-depth tech videos there. First step, if your bike isn't very old, then a proper deep clean is probably going to do the trick and make it look brand new. But even if your bike is a bit older, it's got a few knocks and a few scratches on there, again, first step is really giving this bike a deep clean. So obviously, getting a bit of elbow grease on the go, what you want is a couple of different options on brushes. First off, you want a nice soft one for really going over the bike. Obviously, we've done videos on how to wash a bike properly, but I always start with washing it down, just getting it wet and then getting into the spray and the brushes. But if you're gonna do a deep clean, it's a really good idea to really get at all angles of the bike. So what I'll do with if I've got a pressure washer or something with a decent amount of pressure at least, I would lay the bike over. So once I've done it stood up, each side, I'll then lay the bike over to get underneath it. Then the next step is to take the wheels off and really get into these bits with brushes. Because often you'll find, especially if the bike is a bit, you know, you've been riding in like sticky mud, you won't be able to get that stuff from inside the chainstays or inside the forks just by spraying them. So wheels off, I can get in there. Also, by using that brush around the rims and around the tyres, because if you've got super clean tyres, it makes the bike look good as well, but they can be a bit tricky. Also then, depending on the time of year and the type of lube you've got, you can start getting into degreasers. I find that in summertime, if I'm using light lube on the chain, then I don't often have to go this far. You know, sometimes in winter where you've got the stickier, thicker lube in the chain, then you're gonna have to get the chain cleaner out and really start getting some brushes on the go there. So you can get these ones for cleaning off cassettes. Like I said, if you've got that thicker lube, it'll probably stick to your cassette and your jockey wheels as well. So that's when you need to get the brushes out. But in summertime, I probably don't need to use as much of that. But it's all about getting into the nooks and crannies and getting the dirt out of there. That's a brilliant start. Once your bike's clean, it's time to get some finishing products on the go. I'll actually make sure the bike is dry as well. So obviously if it's baking hot outside, it'll dry it super quick. I'll give it a couple of bounces, but I will still go over it with a microfiber cloth. So that a bit like when you're washing your car, if you leave it to dry, you'll get those kind of raindrop speckles on it. So I try and wipe those off first, make sure my chain's dry as well, running it through a rag, and then thinking about using protecting products on there. So something like this from Muck Off, this Bike Protect, is basically sort of water dispersant. So it'll get rid, again, sort of the nooks and crannies, spray it in there, it'll just make the water come out. And it gives you like a nice finish. So it'll look nice and clean and shiny with this. As with most of these products, don't get them anywhere near your brakes. So if you get these on rotors or on pads, you're gonna have to do something about getting them off. Sometimes you can get away with just wiping them off with a nice clean bit of paper towel, something like that. Often, you know, if you get loads of them on there, it's something you have to boil the pads off or maybe even replace them. So definitely be careful. Obviously you can cover your discs if you wanna be. Super careful. I normally just make sure I've got a rag and I'm spraying it and sort of covering the back with this so it can't overspray anywhere I don't want it. Then you've got, you know, most of the time that is what I leave it to for me. If my bike's fairly new, I've cleaned it and dried it, that makes it look brilliant, but you can get a bit deeper. There's loads of other options. You've got things like polishes, matte detail finisher, miracle shine, silicone spray, the ultimate BS spray, I call this. It makes your bike look amazing. It's one of those things I've always said that I use if I really want to make my bike look good, if I'm trying to sell it for a good price. This stuff makes a bike look brand new. It is the magic stuff. Again, silicone is the worst stuff for getting your brakes. So even on things like saddle, I wouldn't put it on there. It's super slippy, don't get it anywhere near your grips. But this is protection and lubricant as it says, so yeah, avoid those parts. Frame protection kits are well worth thinking about if your bike is new. So obviously from new, you want to keep it protected. But if you've already ridden it a few times, you can still do it if it's not crazy scratched or chipped. It still might be a really good idea to sort of give it a good clean and then get one of these kits. Alternatively, some bikes do come with their own versions of this. So obviously on this, Occam. I've got some sort of protection, but as far as sort of clear frame protection, there isn't any on here. This is still not a bad bike. It's not very old, to be fair. There aren't many marks in it, so I would definitely consider sticking some of those kits in here. There's a few different options here. You've got things like Invisi frame. As the name suggests, they're super thin, really see-through. You can hardly tell they're on the bike. But there are other options like Muck Off, or Do You Even Drift Bro, Die Bro. They do these kits, some of them with even graphics on there. So if your bike is a bit scratched up and you want to cover them, I guess the old school way would be to get a sticker and put it over that, but you can buy these kits as well that can do a really good job of sort of covering up some old damage, making your bike look good and protecting them from new damage as well. If you're lucky enough to have a polished aluminium frame, then you can make these things look pretty much brand new. There aren't many of these things knocking around these days. This is actually a dream bike of mine from the probably early 90s, I guess, GT Zascar. Check it out. This is absolutely sort of bare metal polished aluminium. It's super scratched up. Obviously, this isn't retro bike, it's even dented, so you're never going to fix those. But all these tiny little scratches on here, with a lot of elbow grease and some proper polish, you can get those completely gone. Or you can even get these frames back to a really super mirrored finished if you want to keep going at it. But I guess there aren't many people nowadays lucky enough to have a polished aluminium frame. If you want to go for the whole hog and make your bike look brand new, then it's kind of the extreme option, but you can get your bike repainted. There are plenty of specialists out there that will repaint your bike, even do custom paint options if you want. It's not going to be the cheapest way of doing it. If you've got a painted bike that maybe has just got a few small chips on it, then sometimes you can buy touch-up paint. I've even heard of people using matching the colour of a nail polish and just doing some work with that. Up to you on that one. I guess the obvious way is kind of using, like I said before, covering them up with stickers. But if you've got a raw carbon frame like me, you're kind of stuck. You don't have that many options because, you know, this is, you can literally see the carbon weave in this bike. If you've got a damaged carbon frame, there are people that will repair them and paint them as well, so it's worth looking into those options. If you've got an old bike that maybe is looking a bit down in the dumps and you really like it, then it might be worth thinking about getting a custom paint job. All right, there's a few tips on how you can make your bike look brand new. It really is, for the most part, giving it a super deep clean and then getting a couple of products like this silica spray or bike protect, stuff like that to really give your bike a shine. And then don't forget that new grips and particularly new tires will make your bike look super fresh. Even if, like I say, you've got dirty sidewalls, can kind of make the bike look old, but a brand new set of tires will make a massive difference. So let me know down below if I've missed anything, if you've got any other tips for making your bike look super shiny and back like you loved it in the first place, hopefully. Give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to GMBN.